Hey everyone, my name is Nicole. This is my community overview and plan of the Community Health Project. So I did my community project in Oceanside, California. This is where I live currently. I've lived here for the last 3 years. My focus population for my project was military wives of the HMLA Squadron 369 at Camp Pendleton. My husband is in the Marine Corps, and that's his squadron. And so the wives have their own group. We have our own group that we can get together, and then some of the major wives kind of lead things and educate us and help us throughout the way. My community project basis, I formed a partnership with one of the major's wives. Her name is Melissa Benvendidas. She's wonderful. She's been in part of this since 2022 when her husband was promoted. And then for my project, I gave an overview of educated the military wives on mental health, and then some ways to combat mental health, and then community resources. So Oceanside, it's a lovely place. There's actually two photos of Oceanside. That's the pier on both photos. And locals like to call it O-side. We're very well known for that. It has turned into a really nice community. About 10 years ago, I guess, Oceanside was just a military town, or a lot of homeless lived here. They said there was just a lot of needles on the streets and no one really went here. The community is very safe, very nice now, and it's really turned around. It's very well known for the surfing. Obviously, a lot of people surf right by the pier right there. Every night you can go out and watch the sunset and watch people surf. It's pretty cool. And like I said, we're in San Diego County, and everyone knows San Diego is always 70 and 75, and that's pretty much what it is here. It's always beautiful out, very mild temperatures. It's never too hot and usually never too cold. This last year we got a little bit more rain, but it's really great, which offers so many outdoor activities all year round. So the 5 domains of social determinants of health for Oceanside economic, Oceanside has they implemented a thing called Measure X. So the thing with Measure X is to raise a sales tax by half a cent to provide more aid to the homelessness because it is so nice here and we have a large community. We do have an increase of homelessness, and so that was a start to help them, give them more aid. And then for neighborhood and environment, the Oceanside Police Department has a focus on crime prevention. So this crime prevention unit gives educational presentations to the local schools. They do it at town meetings and then local events that we have. And pretty much what this does is covers topics of gang awareness and child safety and senior crime prevention. They give warning signs to parents and other members of the community to monitor their children or other people, how to protect their child from gang involvement. Gangs here is pretty prevalent. And the more and more, the longer I'm here, the more and more you hear about it and you see it and things like that. So, and then healthcare, this community does offer a lot of free services, which is super great for the community. One of them that I thought it was interesting is Birth Choice. So Birth Choice actually has a mobile clinic, and it's all for free, and they do ultrasounds, they do pregnancy testings and other types of testings for women, and they will drive right to where that person's at if they're homeless or if they just cannot provide the transportation. I thought that was really cool because when I was working in the NICU, we had a lot of women that would come in and never got the care because their boyfriends or husbands were abusive, wouldn't let them leave the house or things like that, vice versa, or people just don't have the means for transportation. And so this service really can change so many different lives. Education, Oceanside, there's multiple different public schools, private schools, alternative schools here. The graduation is about 84%, which is great because I think the national average is 86. But they offer smaller classrooms, and then they also do bilingual. They offer a lot of different specialized things here. So that is really great and very diverse, which is also awesome. But they offer so many different plans for the students don't fall behind, and they want everyone to graduate on time. And then for the community, there is the Youth Partnership Program. So this program is a 12-week program that offers lessons plans on different values and work ethics and builds life skills for students. The goal of the program is to decrease the number of adolescents involved in substance use and street gangs, and then decrease the amount of students in the criminal justice system. This community also offers sponsors and through the clean and sober community. Like I said, drugs is pretty prevalent here. So this, especially with young kids too, it's getting pretty bad. So this can be a really great start for some kids that are younger. So some strengths. During my windshield survey, like I said, I've lived here for about 3 years, but I took the time and I drove around here just to see exactly what I see, just focusing on this. So for healthcare services, there is a lot offered here from different types of clinics. We have pediatric clinics. We even have a pediatric urgent care from a well-known hospital, Rady's, and so that's really great. It's all and then we have surgery centers. We have lots of plastic surgery. We have GI surgery centers. We have pretty much everything offered, dermatology, and multiple different ones too. So you have an option to go to different places. It's not just your one, the only place. And then for psychiatric care, there is actually a lot offered in Oceanside. We have an emergency place just for emergency psychiatric care, and just kind of gets people just a quick it's pretty much people come in for that are not doing well, and they'll give them resources, have them spend the night, give them some food, whatever it is, and it's a really great resource for our community in general. And I know that they're having more of them pop up throughout San Diego County. And then the community now, like I said, it's totally changed. We have sidewalks everywhere, and they're all lit. It's beautiful. A lot of gated homes because we do have a large amount of crime and a lot of security cameras. It looks like most homes have the ring, which kind of keeps everyone intercommunicated on what's exactly happening in what area. And then the activities are endless here. You can do something all day long. You have the beach, like everyone enjoys, public libraries, playgrounds right on the beach, in the woods, wherever it is, multiple different soccer fields, baseball, softball fields, playgrounds located everywhere throughout the city. And then fishing is huge here off the pier. If you walk to the pier right now till 10 o'clock tonight, you'll see multiple families all fishing off the pier. Yoga's big here. A lot of people do yoga on the beach or the pier, or by the grass. And then the farmers market, everyone comes out for that. It's a really big thing around here. Weaknesses, definitely drugs is massive here. We definitely have an issue with the amount of drugs that are coming up from Mexico, and it's definitely seems like it's becoming out of control. Homelessness is also large. Down one of our main roads is the 76. They're kind of lined up everywhere. And then litter can get bad because of all of that. And then the traffic gets pretty backed up here. Lots of people love California, and we have a lot of people here. So you'll sit in traffic on the 76 or the 78 for a good amount of time. And that's not even including on the 5, which is your main road down to San Diego. So yeah, those are definitely some weaknesses that I observed. Community assessment. So Oceanside is 41.27 square miles, population over 174,000 people call Oceanside home. It's very diverse. Some veterans here. We have Camp Pendleton. Camp Pendleton is just north of Oceanside. We're the most northern city from San Diego County before we hit Orange County. Camp Pendleton is just above us. They've been there since 1942. It has mild climate. It's sometimes it doesn't rain very much. We have a marine layer. It's just like that fog that kind of keeps our city moist, so it helps with the fires and things like that. But only rains honestly maybe about 5 times a year. It's like I said again, it's usually sunny and 75 every single day here, which is wonderful. We do have about 500,000 children. This is for San Diego County though. This isn't for specifically Oceanside. I couldn't find the exact numbers for just Oceanside, but about 500,000 children qualify for free or reduced lunches, and about 100,000 people utilize the WIC program here. So that's the Women's and Infants and Children until about 5 years old, and that's monthly. And then we have about 9.5% of the population live in poverty, which to me that seemed low because because when I worked in the NICU and then I work in mental health now, I do see a lot of this population, and to me it has to be a little bit higher. But that was done in 2020, so maybe it would be a little bit higher now. And then 8.1% live on disability. All right, so mortality rates in children, drowning, submersions. Lots of kids play in the ocean. I can easily see this happen. The waves can get very dangerous. I've got caught up in the waves before. A lot of young kids surfing, so about 53% of that's mortality. And then suffocations, 43%. Motor vehicle accidents, 37%. Pretty much every day when you're driving on the 5 or on the 78, you see an accident. And it's usually not just like a fender bender. It's a pretty major one. And then in adults, cancer is 19.5%, heart disease 17.2%, which heart disease is usually the number one in most areas, and then COVID-19 is at 9.1%. So, and then about 17.2% of the individuals are Medicaid and 10.5% on Medicare. So yeah, that is my community assessment. So the diagnosis, so for my community project, I wanted to focus on military wives. So this group, the HMLA 369, they're about to deploy, the husbands, the Marines are going to deploy here in November. So I really wanted to do this project beforehand because this is my second deployment with my husband. And I remember the last one, it was really hard on a lot of the wives. They felt they had no support. They didn't know what to do. They felt depressed, lots of anxiety. They were taking care of things by themselves on the home with their children. They don't have many support. It's not even deployments. Long trainings can be all summer long. Then they come home and then they go to another training and then they'll come home again and then they'll do deployment. So the Marines are gone most of the year, it seems like. Sometimes they're home a lot more. Kind of depends on what the Marine exactly does. For these Marine these Marines are all pilots, and so they seem like they're gone a little bit more. So my diagnosis is deficient knowledge among officer, captain, military spouses of the Marine Corps Squadron HMLA 369 at Camp Pendleton, California, related to inadequate knowledge of community resources and community support by community members, military orders to move every 4 years. So in the military, in the Marine Corps is the only thing I really know, we move every 2 to 5 years. And so when you move to a new city, it's not just down the road, it's across country. So a lot of these wives have no idea what California is, or I didn't even know California had mountains until I moved here. So it's just because you get like a week or two sometimes to pack up your whole entire life and go. You don't get a lot of resource time. And then by the time you get there, the guys are gone and you're just focused on moving in your home and things like that. So no one gives you a packet of, here's the resources if your mental health is going down. So that's why I really wanted to focus on this group. And then every time they move, it's a new thing. It's a new city. You don't really know what access you have and what's available to you. So my goals for this project was, after presentation, 10% of the group will be able to identify 3 community resources for mental health support. And then my goal number 2 was, after the presentation, 10% of the group will be able to identify 1 emergency hotline. My long-term goal, in 6 months after the presentation, there will be a 10% increase in the utilization of community resources. So those are my goals that I set for myself in the group. So my liaison was Melissa. Like I said, she's a major wife in the Marine Corps. Her husband promoted to major. When your husband promotes to major, you kind of, the wives take on more roles, and this was one of them that she did. She was very encouraging. She helped me with ideas to present. She was great when I reached out to her first. She thought it was a great idea. It would help the wives a lot because she knows firsthand that how many of the wives feel kind of lost during these times. 3 of the resources that I found actually that would help Melissa partner with was the Women's Resource Center. So this center helps women and children, teenagers in Oceanside who are suffering from domestic violence and sexual assault. They provide emergency shelter, legal services, food, clothing, and advocacy. When you have a woman that goes through this, they don't want to go on base for help because it could get their husband in trouble, and sometimes the women are trying to protect them still for multiple reasons. And so this is an off-site resource for them that they can go to if they need some help with not affiliating their husband's job, because there's multiple reasons for that. The second one was Center for Stress Recovery and Resilience. This center actually, they specialize in different types of therapies, and they specialize in military members and their spouses. They train, they have therapies that help with anxiety, trauma. They do resilience, mindfulness training, and then they have combined therapies. I mentioned this one because they do specialize in military spouses. A lot of spouses want to go to therapy, but they want someone that has experience working with military members. And so this was a great one, and they also take their insurance also, so that it's not so much of a financial burden. And then my last one was Aligned Parenting. I actually found this one because I had a friend on the last deployment that she had a baby and a toddler, and her husband was on the MEU, it's a bow, and they don't have contact, so they can only email every few weeks usually. And so she reached out actually to Aligned Parenting because her toddler was having horrible behaviors, and she didn't know what to do. She was by herself. She had no family here. And so Aligned Parenting, actually, it's a center that helps parents and their family with behavioral issues, and such as inappropriate language, and they're not listening, the tantrums, the screaming. But they also offer the parents teaching mechanisms for different parenting styles and tips and tricks for their child's like just their certain child. So that does help. They also offer multiple free lessons for the public to have access to. So I thought this was a really good resource for Melissa to give to any of the military spouses with children, because it can be really daunting to be a single parent, and just to have some type of resource can actually help. And even the free lessons, I think anyone would take those as a new parent also. Okay, so for my presentation, how I got my information out to this, I first educated the wives on anxiety. So I went over a couple different types of anxiety: generalized anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, social anxiety, separation. And I went over some signs and symptoms of them. So for anxiety, insomnia, feeling on edge, increased heart rate, sense of impending doom, the sweating, just overall anxious, right? And then I gave some statistics at the top. So the two I gave for anxiety was women are 2 times likely to be diagnosed with anxiety disorder over men, and then 264 million people in the world have an anxiety disorder. So it's pretty prevalent. People feel like they're not alone then. And then I went over and I defined every type of different anxiety disorder. And then I did depression. I went over the types. I defined them: major depressive disorder, seasonal, persistent depressive disorder. I gave some statistics again, and then the signs and symptoms. One statistic I found interesting was major depressive disorder is more common in women than men, and it usually causes with many other illnesses. And then I went over substances. I know, I don't know for these group of girls, but substances are very common in San Diego County and Oceanside, and so I wanted to touch base on it. So I gave different types of substances that people abuse. And then I also gave them that a statistic that 52.5% of individuals have not received treatment for substance use or mental health. And then I talked about how San Diego actually has the overdoses increased to 131% from 2020 to 2021, because fentanyl has been laced with every single substance. And I have seen that firsthand when I have people coming into the place that I work and they said they only did this, but it's always laced with fentanyl. They always test positive for fentanyl. And so that is something that I wanted to educate them on to watch out for and things like that. And then we also talked about Ativan and Klonopin and Xanax, how easily abused those are. And that's not your heroin and meth and your fentanyl and heroin, but that's definitely been very abused, especially among wives, stay-home moms. And so we touched base on that. And then we talked about ways that you're able to combat this. I'm a big believer in natural things. So one thing I talked about, like holistic ideas. So we talked about exercise and how exercise can actually help with your mental health more than psychotropic medications and therapy by like 1.5%. It's been proven. There's a meta-analysis done. There's so many, I've listened to multiple podcasts on how exercise and strength training helps with carving um, for substance use, how it just carves the cravings, and it helps with your bone density. It helps with your sexual health. It just, and your ADHD in women and children. There's a major list of what exercise can do for you, and like you just need 30 to 60 minutes out of your day to help with that, and that also helps with your anxiety and depression. And then we talked about diet and how important diet is for you. Things to focus on, like your leafy greens, your fruits and vegetables, your seafood, meat, eggs, dairy, and dark chocolate even. We talked about some vitamins, how thiamine gives great energy production, and vitamin B12 produces some serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine. I know vitamins aren't very budget friendly sometimes, and the expensive ones are out of control, but you should be able to find a lot of these vitamins in your whole diet. And if that wasn't a thing, I gave a list of a local food pantries in our area too. And then I gave a study, which was interesting, is diet alone has been clinically proved to decrease symptoms of depression. It was over a 12-week study, and after the 12 weeks, they completely changed these people's diets. There's 67 individuals to sticking to this whole diet, and 32.3% of the individuals were in remission of depression, which is huge because a lot of people can't get that with just even a medication, because medications take forever. So that was huge. We went and talked about that. A lot of the women were really interested in the diet part. And then we talked about therapy. There's different types of therapy. We went over the definitions of them. And then I gave the fact that military members hold the highest divorce rates compared to any other profession. I gave them resources for on base, that there are marriage counselors on base, and then off base too, that are it can be a financial investment. Sometimes these can get expensive, but it's definitely worth it. Everyone could use a little bit of therapy. And then we talked about clinics. We talked about different types of clinics that are off base. So if someone has TRICARE Prime, that means they can only go on base unless they get a referral to go off base for something. But if they have TRICARE Select, with a lot of these wives do, they're able to select where they want to go with a little bit of a copay. And so I gave them a list of different clinics that take that and what they offer, with psychiatrists to therapy to medication management, things like that. And then we went, and then I talked about I had a video. So when I was in college for my first degree, one of my professors showed me this video. It's by Sean Anker, and he is a Harvard graduate, and he studied mental health in students and then children and adults. And he had some really great key takeaways from it, and what you can be doing every day to rewire your brain to be happier. So if anyone wants to do that, Sean Anker of a TED Talk, you can look it up. And then I went over oceanside activities. We went over the Sunset Market every Thursday. Like I said, that's really popular within the on Oceanside, the Harbor Village, by all the boats. Everyone loves to do that. The Strand and Oceanside, your picture perfect, like California boardwalk where everyone rollerblades and bikes and running. It's beautiful. I gave them dates for the Oceanside Turkey Trot and the Holiday Gift Market. So the Holiday Gift Market, it's the Sunset Market that just turns into all holiday gifts, and it's really cute, and it goes on all of December. So it's giving some community things to do while the Marines are deployed this year. And then for the pre and post quiz, I just gave questions on what they knew about our community and their diet and some exercise, what TRICARE actually covers, and if they knew a different hotlines. And so it was like a quiz to just get their basis. And then after the PowerPoint, I was able to have them take it again, and they did very well, and they knew definitely a lot more. And then the brochure, I gave everything from all the emergency contacts, support groups for AANA, the Women's Resource Center, the local food pantries and services. I gave their websites, their phone numbers, their addresses, and then the clinics, all of their what they offered and their websites to access them. Then the mental health disorders, and I went over what they were, their signs and symptoms, and things like that. So the brochure was really helpful too, that they all got to go home with. And then this is the picture of the pre and post test and the brochure. You can take a look there. It was good. They seem to like, especially for the food pantry, there is so many different ways to access that, especially if someone cannot afford the healthy ingredients that their family needs. And then these are just my slides to go over that we just talked about everything. There's that link to that video if you want to type that in. For my evaluation for my pre and post quiz, so both of them were met. The goal number 1, I think 5 out of 6 of the women were able to identify 3. I think one of them, she was busy with her kids. I think she wasn't able to identify all 3. And then for the goal number 2, 6 out of 6 were able to identify a hotline. And then for goal number 3, I would do the same girls in about 6 months and meet up with them and see how much they utilize the resources that I gave them, and if anyone has changed their like daily lifestyle or what they thought was beneficial from this. So that's how and then what if they utilize that community resource that I provided of any of them. So that's how I would have utilized goal number 3. And then conclusion. Oceanside is beautiful. It is a lovely place. If anyone you want to visit it, it's amazing. Melissa was my liaison who helped me with this whole entire project. She was amazing, from giving me ideas for criticism, for encouragement, hosting it at her home, helping with anything that I needed. Hopefully the HMLA 369 wives are full and ready for this deployment that they're about to face, and that they have enough resources to get through it, because Oceanside does offer a lot. We are very fortunate to live here, and it is a good place to live. All right. I hope you enjoyed my slides, and here are some of my references if anyone wants to go back and look at them. Awesome. Thank you, guys.